Hello, good morning, class. Yeah, welcome to lecture 2. Today we are going to talk about demand and its attributes. So this is our outline. We'll start with the meaning of demand and related concepts. Then we will look at the law of demand schedule, types of demand, determinants of demand, the demand function and equation, and then the importance of demand analysis. So what is demand? What's the meaning of demand? Demand is defined as the different quantities of goods or services that consumers are willing and able or they are ready to buy at different prices within a given period of time. Ceteris paribus. Ceteris paribus means all other things being equal. So that is demand. The different quantities of a good or a service that consumers are willing and able to buy at different prices. So when the price changes, the quantity consumers are willing and able to buy of a good within a given period of time is demand. We have a demand curve. Demand curve is a graphical representation of the relationship between price and quantity demanded of a certain good or service. So basically, it is the graphical representation of the demand schedule. We'll look at an example of a demand curve for you to appreciate how it works. But the next thing we want to look at is equilibrium. Equilibrium is a situation, it's a market situation where quantity demanded is equal to quantity supplied. That is equilibrium. A market situation where quantity demanded is equal to quantity supplied. Can also be looked at as the combination of price and quantity where there is no economic pressure from surpluses or shortages that would cause price or quantity to change. So at equilibrium there is no surplus, there is no shortage, and there isn't economic pressure to cause shortage or surplus. At equilibrium there is a fixed price and a fixed quantity. So what is equilibrium quantity? Equilibrium quantity is the quantity at which quantity demanded and quantity supplied are equal for a certain price level. Okay. There can be excess demand. Excess demand is when at the existing price the quantity demanded exceeds the quantity supplied. So excess demand is also called a shortage. What is price? Price refers to what a buyer pays for a unit of the specific good or commodity he buys. That is price. An equilibrium price is the price at which quantity demanded is equal to quantity supplied. That is equilibrium price. So all these terms are supposed to be known before we move on to the demand curve itself. So this is a typical example of a demand curve. A demand curve is negatively sloped. It slopes from left to right downwards. And as you can see, it shows the relationship between price and quantity demanded. So if the price is 4, it means the price is very high. The quantity demanded here is 34. What about if the price is reduced from 4 to 3? Will the quantity demanded decrease? Will it be the same? Will it increase? So from 4 to 3, the quantity demanded changes from 34 to 46. A further decrease from 3 to 2, quantity demanded changes from 46 to 65. What do we realize here? When price decreases, quantity demanded increases. What about when price increases? Assuming price was 1 and quantity demanded was 80. If the price increases from 1 to 2, what happens to the quantity demanded? The quantity demanded decreases from 80 to 65. So, as we mentioned, the demand curve is a graphical representation of a demand schedule or of the various quantities of goods and services, or of a good or a service consumers are willing and able to buy at different prices. So the relationship between price and quantity demanded is negative, meaning when one increases, the other will decrease. Okay, so let's look at the equilibrium situation. We said that equilibrium is a market situation where quantity demanded is equal to quantity supply. The price at which this happens is the equilibrium price, and the quantity at which this happens is equilibrium quantity. So, as demand curve is negatively sloped, supply curve is positively sloped. It slopes upwards from left to right. So this is the supply curve, and this is the demand curve. The point at which they intersect is the point at which demand is equal to supply. So the price at which there is an intersection between demand curve and supply curve is the equilibrium price, and the quantity at which there is this intersection is the equilibrium quantity. In a real market situation, there are many times when you go to the market wouldn't have obtained equilibrium. So in a real market situation, we can have quantity demanded greater than quantity supplied, as we have here. Quantity demanded here is 700 at this point at price 1 cedi 20 pesos, but quantity supplied is, let's say, 550. So 700 demanding, and the quantity available is 550. We are demanding 700, but we have only 550 available. That creates shortage, or the demand is excess. So at any point in time where quantity demanded is greater than quantity supplied, there is shortage or there is excess demand. What about a point at which quantity supplied is greater than quantity demanded? There is surplus or excess supply. At this point, quantity supplied is, let's say, 680, but quantity demanded is 500. There is surplus. Normally, the shortage happens at a point where the price is very low. When price is very low, people want to buy more because it's cheap. So demand will be greater than supply. But then when price is very high, people want to buy less because it's expensive. But because the price is high, producers or suppliers will supply more, or because it increases their profit. So supply will be greater than quantity demanded, and that creates surplus. Great. Now let's look at the law of demand. The law of demand states that at a higher price, there is low quantity demanded, or a higher, as price increases, quantity demanded decreases, and as price decreases, quantity demanded increases. Ceteris paribus, or holding all other factors that affect demand constant. So there's a negative relationship. When price increases, quantity demanded will decrease. We will end here and continue from the next slide. Thank you.